Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Mindset Monday. Looks like some of you guys are outside. It's snowing here in Colorado. So we woke up to snow and but that's the way we get our moisture. So it'll be gone by this afternoon and it's just, pretty when you wake up and see all the white and then all the green comes out later in the afternoon. Um, I'm Monica Graves, and I love doing these Mindset Mondays. And today we are going to talk about money. So we can call this money mindset. Um, Money mindset to me is one of the most important decisions for you when you are looking to earn the income that you feel like you deserve. And it all boils down to your mindset. Really, it boils down to what your belief is in money. And sometimes we have these beliefs that have stuck around with us pretty much all our life. And I don't know if you know this, but in the beginning, when you are growing up, by the time that you are age 7, you have learned and taken in more knowledge in those first 7 years than you do for the balance of the rest of your life. And it's because you have what we call this conscious part. And as that conscious stuff goes in that part of your brain, then it all starts to become non-conscious. And the non-conscious is that part of our brain that's pretty much programmed. And the programming, again, if you listen to it, it stays there forever. So it's part of your brain that is going to stay there forever. So you start learning, numbers, you start learning language, and it just becomes part of the brain that becomes this non-conscious part, or subconscious is what you want to call it. And so it's really when you get into that part of, where you start earning income, you might have these things that have been put into your non-conscious brain, that part of your brain, things like, maybe you've heard things like money is dirty, or you have to work really, really hard to make a lot of money, or you have to be really, really smart to make a lot of money. And a lot of those things become limiting beliefs. And so what I want to do today is just work on that money mindset. And I've got a little PowerPoint. I'm going to see if I can share this with you guys. Let's see. And let me go from the first slide. From current slide. Okay, cool. So you guys can see this. It says money and consciousness. All right. So what money and consciousness is when you think about it, again, there's these beliefs that have caused so many different types of difficulties in your life. And you wonder, why have they shown up, or how have they shown up? So think about things like this. What is your money mindset preventing you from doing? Can you see how some limiting beliefs can limit you from having a truly healthy relationship with money? So again, think about some of the things that you might have heard, growing up, that money doesn't grow on trees, or I've heard some Bible things like a rich man. It's easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get to heaven. Now, those are just really negative types of beliefs, right? And what I had when I was growing up was my mother was always saying, "We can't afford that. We can't afford that." And it was it was something, that's sort of personal, but my father was a gambler. And so he would gamble our cars away. He would gamble our furniture away. Luckily, he didn't gamble our house away. But we always were going through these things where we had nice things and then we wouldn't have anything. And it was tough for groceries. And so I grew up with that constant reminder of we can't afford this. And so it sort of stuck in my brain, right? It stuck in there so that when I got older, I would actually use credit cards when I really couldn't afford things. And then I got into really bad, credit card debt in college. And then I had a, student loan, all kinds of things. But I was very lucky to start thinking about money and earning money at around age 22 when I said, I've got to change my relationship with money. So there are some universal principles that I want to talk to you about. And when we talk about these universal principles, there's all kinds of different laws out there, principles. And these are the ones that I really want to talk about today because I want you to focus on these three things. There's the practical matters around money, there's the emotional things around money, and then there's the spiritual. And when it comes to these three things, I'll break it down for you so that you can start thinking about it. Think about that relationship that you have with money. So personal beliefs, they create your thoughts and they create your feelings. Okay. So when you have, like I was saying, these certain belief systems that you've built up, you might want to write some of these things down. Write down your feelings around certain things when it comes to money. And if money is coming into your life and money leaves really quick out of your life, you might want to think about, what am I doing and what is that relationship? Because again, when it comes to the practical stuff, I'll go over that in a minute, there's still these emotional things that you have that might cause you to not be able to bring in the money that you actually really want to deserve, you feel like you deserve. So when you have the negative feelings, those negative feelings, they actually can put up a barrier for you to earn or bring in the type of money that you desire. And so we want to always have positive feelings. So when you start looking at those belief systems and wondering, how can I change my thoughts? Because you guys, thoughts are real. Thoughts are things that actually cause us to have a certain vibrancy. And when you vibrate on a negative level, then you're actually causing that when the things that you want to not happen for you. Okay. So I always say, like, if you're looking at, what's tomorrow? Tax day. And you're looking at your taxes and you're like, you got this negative feeling about, oh my gosh, I have to pay this much money. Hopefully you're not waiting till the last minute tomorrow, but you start building these negative feelings surrounding taxes, and then it causes you to actually have a negative vibration around the money. And so what I say to do is, how can you switch that thought and how can you switch that feeling? So what I do is when I look at the taxes that we have to pay, and we always do ours early in January, get it out of the way and look at it as a positive thing. I made a lot of income last year, so that means I'm probably going to have to pay a decent amount of taxes. So I'm thankful that I made that money, and start looking at being grateful versus putting that negative feeling on, oh my God, I need to pay these taxes. How am I going to do this? I mean, there's all different kinds of ways that you can, defer. You could do different things with payments. So don't get so caught up in that negative feeling of, why am I having to spend all this money and give it to the government? It's more of, how can you look at it positively on, what, I made enough money to make my mortgage. I made enough money to have groceries, those kind of things. Start looking at being grateful around money versus that negative feeling that you can get. That's when I'm talking about your mind is a creative thing, right? You can be as creative as you want in the reference to thinking about money. Some people think that, money is can be dealt with in negative things. And yes, it can. Money can cause a lot of problems. But at the same time, think about all the good things that money can do. All right. Money can help people. You can start looking at how can you give more money away, right? If you help someone with money, you don't want to make them feel obligated, because what you're doing is you're putting a negative feeling around that aspect of, hey, I just gave somebody $1,000. They better pay me back within the next week. Don't do that. What you really want to do is say, you know what? It feels good that I was able to lend that person some money. And whenever they can pay it back, that's fine. And if they never pay it back, I'm giving that out to the universe that it's going to come back to me some way. And that's the law of karma. That's the law of compensation. That's the law of reciprocity. What you give, you will receive. You just don't know how you're going to get it back, right? So I had a friend that gave $1,000 to someone that couldn't make their rent. And she just said, I'm just going to give it to them. It feels good that I was able to help them. And literally 15 years later, this person sent $3,000 because she gave her $1,000, and then this person gave $3,000. It came back in the mail. She opened the envelope and she was just floored. It felt so good that this person, after all these years, had thought about her. And that's what the letter said inside. It said, thank you so much. When I was, having a hard time, you gave me this money. And here I am 15 years later, and I have enough money to pay you back 3 times. So you never know how it's going to come back. It might come back in something else, right? So when you're down, somebody totally different might come and give something to you. So again, your mind is very creative. You want the creativity to always be around positivity. Okay, so we are all connected to this divine wisdom and the mind. So if you think about it, if you believe in the law of frequency and the law of vibration, you're going to understand that you are connected to that higher wisdom, the part of your mind that is seeking the source or seeking that higher wisdom that comes from thinking positive. All right. So if we're all connected, and you know that there's matter, energy, there's things that we cannot see, right? But if you put that frequency of a higher vibration around money, what happens? It's almost like you're a magnet, right? It's like you put this higher frequency in reference to the mindset of money, and then all of a sudden somebody shows up in your life that's going to help you with something that you really, truly desire to do. Maybe you wanted to open a different type of business, another source of income. Or maybe you wanted to, invest in a real estate deal. When you open yourself up to this wisdom and you open yourself up to the mind of other people that are thinking like you, people are going to show up in your life. So I hope you try to remember that. The other thing is, there is enough money, and there is enough. This is the craziest thing. We have more food in the world today than we've ever had. And there are actually more starving people than we've ever had. So isn't that strange to think about, right? So if we know that there is enough, and if we always wake up in the morning saying, I know there is enough to go around. I know, and I am open to receiving all the amounts of money that I desire because there is enough. All right. So quit having those limited thoughts, because if you wake up in the morning going, oh no, what am I going to do today? And have this negative feeling about it, then of course the rest of your day is going to be against the desire or that dream or that goal that you have on earning more money. It really starts with accepting and approving of yourself, because a lot of times, like I was telling you my story, those are just excuses, right? You have excuses for, well, my parents were poor, so I'm going to be poor, right? That's a dumb excuse. Everybody has the right to create what they want to create. It has nothing to do with your ancestors. But so many people believe that. And that's why, like I was saying, there's so many starving people, is because they still have that mentality of that's just what I grew up in. This is what I'm surrounded by. I'm always going to be this way. But if you think about it, there's so many people that come out of that. Think about some of the football or sports heroes, people that have had lives where they grew up in poverty and they were able to escape that and get out of that. It had something to do with accepting yourself and approving of yourself, right? So they were able to change that mindset of, I deserve this. I am going to work and make sure that I attract the right people into my life. So it starts with you, starts with loving and approving of who you are before you can change it so much. And then you got to let go. Let go of all those falsehoods. Let go of all of that stuff. Like I was telling you, I grew up with this, with my parents were farmers. And so, growing up with farmers and growing up and seeing that aspect of there was abundance sometimes and sometimes there was scarcity. It really depended on weather, depended on the economy, right? And so if I had used that as, my grandparents were poor in Kentucky, and my mother grew up in Hazard County, which is the coal mining county, and no one graduated high school. They were all just went into the mines, and I didn't have that mentality. I knew from a very early age that I wanted things, and I was going to make sure that I could get those things. And so again, it's your mindset. You have to let go of the things, let go of those people telling you that you can't do something. You're going to have to learn that if you want something and you start working on trying to get that happening in your life, you can't tell a whole lot of people, because there's so many naysayers out there that are going to tell you you can't do it. And so just let go of what other people have said and love and approve yourself and go for what you want. This is a meditation, or actually an affirmation. And if you have, let's say there was a penny laying on the ground. Now, a penny is worth, 1 cent. We know that. And the penny actually might be going away in our life, but I still consider it money, right? Are you going to walk right over that penny? Are you going to step on that penny and just say it's worthless? Or would you be the type of person to pick that penny up, to pick it up, put it in your pocket, put it in your purse, and know that that is money coming to you? Okay? I do this all the time. I find money all the time. And it's just becoming aware. So when you say, I bless my income with love and I watch it grow, you will start to see that if you respect money and you respect the way that money works, because it's just energy. It's money is energy, and you can give it any kind of power that you want. So again, I want to give it the power of growing. I want to give it the power of worth, and I want to be grateful for what I have. Okay. So here are some of the practical. Remember, I was telling you about those 3 things, and you might want to just take a screenshot or, a picture on your phone, because I want you to go back and look at these things. I want you to look at practical matters, and you can say yes, no, sometimes. And then after you answer these questions, I want you to look at the feeling that you had around it, okay? And see if you can create a more grateful or positive feeling when you look at these things. All right, so you pay your bills on time? Yes, no, or sometimes. You live within your means? Yes, no, sometimes. I balance my bank account monthly. I pay off my credit cards every month. If I have debt, I have a plan for paying it off. My credit report needs repairing. I have savings account. I contribute to it regularly, and I regularly practice philanthropy. So if you don't know what philanthropy is, it's sort of charity work. And then I have good advice from long-term financial planning. Okay, so again, if you answered no on any of these things, then you might want to look at, how can I say yes? All right, maybe I can start learning some of these things that I need to that surround money, that I need to look at. Okay, because, and again, that feeling that comes up for you. The next one is the emotional matters. And again, you're going to do the yes, no, sometimes. So take a photo of this one. And again, when you're asking yourself these questions or telling yourself these questions, is it something that pops up that has a negative feeling around it? Or just start asking, what is that? For example, I feel guilty about my use of money. If you feel guilty, if you say yes to this, then find out why. Why do I feel guilty? What's making me feel guilty about this? The I feel embarrassed about my use of money. Find out what it is. What is that feeling? And, if you have a healthy relationship, number one, if it's yes, then fantastic. But then you might go down, you might say yes to this question, then you go down, question 2 through 9, and you start looking at, wow, I really don't have a good relationship with money. All right. So again, look at how you can change. Again, your mind is creative. Your mind's going to pop up with all kinds of things, and you're going to have to look at the feelings, the emotions around it. Look at number 6. I am angry that money is so unevenly distributed. Well, what makes you think that? Okay, that's a deep, deep feeling. If there's hate or anger around money, and the way you think that it's unevenly distributed, how can you change that to a more positive thought and look into it deeply? Why do I feel that way? I have fears about not having enough money. Do you guys know that worry is a prayer for things that you don't want? So if you are constantly worried about not having enough money, guess what you're doing? You're putting a vibration out there that's the universe is going to keep saying that, oh, she or he feels they don't have enough money. That's the vibration they're putting out there. So we're going to give that to them. We're going to give it back to you. You're never going to have enough money because you're constantly in fear of it. So again, switch that thought to, I have enough money. And when you say that kind of affirmation, it starts to happen for you because you're changing your vibration. Now, spiritual matters a little bit different in the aspect of a belief system around money in the spiritual side of things. So I recognize that spirit is my ultimate source, whatever you want to call it, a God. Buddha, recognize that there is a source and there is an abundance for everyone, including me. I trust that all my needs are met. These are such great affirmations, too. I trust that I can change my relationship. I forgive others for teaching me incorrect beliefs, right? Because we grew up with so many different beliefs around money. I forgive myself for using money unwisely because, believe me, I have used it unwisely. And so I had to forgive myself, right? I had to let go of all of that. Your energy around money matters. I cannot say this enough. So watch your energy, watch those, emotional things that you have and try to change some of those. And again, go back to looking at these spending patterns and see if they need to be changed because you are the one that creates your reality. Nobody else. All of that stuff that you've blamed for somebody else doing to you, you don't have to accept that anymore. You are the one to create your own reality. Okay? Believe that. There's so much going on around the world right now and in our own country, and we want to blame. We want to blame, the reason that things are happening on somebody else. No, it's you. The way you create your own world is it's not your husband, it's not your brother, your sister, your mother. Just let go of all of that. It's you. All right. And here's some affirmations. You might want to take a screenshot of this as well, because these affirmations really, really work. And I love doing affirmations because, and I actually have this all printed up so that I can, and it's just on a piece of paper, and I have it on my wall in my office. And you want to put these somewhere so that you do see them. Because a lot of times we wake up and then the world takes over, our job takes over, and we forget to work on affirmations, where affirmations are like statements and they need to be in the positive mindset, and they need to be in the present tense. Okay. So you don't want to say, I will, create money. It's more like I have money, like present tense. Okay. Like I am a money magnet. All my needs are met. I choose to embrace thoughts of abundance. I am confident that I earn a wonderful living. You can use the word I enjoy too, because I enjoy puts a feeling on it. Like I enjoy earning $350,000 or more per year. So I started out using that affirmation about 15 years ago. And I started with 225,000, and that year I did 226,000. So I went from making 85,000 a year to 225,000. 226 that or more was that $1,000 more. And so I want you to know that when you put these feelings around money and you're doing affirmations, you're raising your vibration. You're raising that positivity around money. The last one here says, I am an excellent money manager. Now, that was a big one for me. I had to say it a lot. And before I knew it, I was managing money very well, because in the past, I hadn't been managing money well. And then I was blaming everybody else for me not managing my money. Okay. So I want you to choose to know that you're abundant. This is the best affirmation. I am. Whenever you can say I am, that's the present moment again. I am choosing to know that I am abundant. You can even say it as simple as I am abundant. Okay? So that flow of giving and receiving, that law of karma, the law of reciprocity, just know that when you are giving your time and when you are giving to others, then that is going to come back to you in multitude. And so I just want you to think about that aspect of don't hold so tight to your money, right? Because again, what you're doing there is that's a negative feeling of I'm so afraid of not having money that I can't give any away. So think about how can you give more? How can you open yourself up to receiving? Because opening yourself up to receiving is just as important as giving. Because some people just give, and then they're shut off from receiving. And they wonder why they're in a situation where they're constantly giving and they don't have enough, because they have this belief that they don't deserve it and they think others deserve it. So they're constantly giving. So you got to make sure that you are open to receiving. Okay. Say it. I am open to receiving. And this last little thing, I just love this law of compensation. The amount of money you earn will always be an exact ratio to three things. And think about you as a realtor. Think about you as if there's other sources of income that you've got coming in. The need for what you do is the number one thing. Okay? There has to be a need for what you do. Do you think that there's a need for us as brokers? There is a need. You have to value yourself. Now, number two is your ability to do it. Do you have the ability to do what you do? All right. So if you don't, learn more. And then number three is the difficulty there will be in replacing you. So you want to make sure that you're constantly focusing on number two, your ability to do it. So be the best that you can be. Then you don't have to worry about number three. Nobody is going to replace you if you are constantly increasing your ability to do what you do. All right. So remember, there's no competition. Okay. Don't worry about competition. You are your only competition. So what you create, what you believe, and the emotions that you have around it and around money and around who you are, that's your only competition. Okay. So I hope you enjoy this Money and Consciousness, because it really is something for you to think about, right? What you put into your conscious is there. What we want to focus on is our subconscious or a non-conscious part about money, so that programming that we've had over all these years, we can change it. All right? They're just thoughts, and thoughts can be changed. All right? So hope you have a great week, and spend this week looking at things. All right. Spend this week on looking at the money mindset that you have. All right. Have a great week. Bye.
Thank you, Monica.
Monica, may I say one thing?
Yeah.
Hey, it's Chad. Good morning. Could you please send me a link to this recording? I want to send it for somebody else that's, I'm happy, I'm still trying to get through my hip surgery stuff. But I do have a friend that is not in real estate, but could use this information, I think, to help him be more positive.
Awesome. Yes, I'll send it. All right. Bye, you guys.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.